The JEDO Board of Directors meeting will come to order. Welcome, everyone. Look forward to a fine meeting this evening. We will begin with the roll call. The clerk would read.
Commissioner Shelley Bueller. Here. Commissioner Kevin Cook.
Here.
Commissioner Bob Archer.
Here.
Mayor Larry Wolgast.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Jeff Cohen.
Here.
Councilmember Tony Emerson.
Here.
Councilmember Michelle DeLisla.
Here. Here.
This is we call it the third quarter meeting of the JEDO Board. It's not at the end of the third quarter. It happens to be in September, so actually we don't have everything as of the end of the third quarter, but we have presentations and reports that we call the third quarter reports. So I ask Matt Varnick to come forward and make comments as we start the presentations.
Thank you very much. Well, you've heard me tell the joke before that they don't let me talk very much anymore, and it used to be a joke, but now I'm starting to get a little bit of a complex about it because it's real. They don't let me talk that much, and I think that they feel like I'm going to take up too much of their time. If it were up to me and if it were up to our team, we would love to give you an hour, hour and a half, 2-hour report tonight. Chairman and Mayor Wolgast has asked us to not do that. And so we are going to try to give you as quick of a report as we possibly can, really share some highlights. The team will be ready to go, and I promise you that they have their talking points ready to go, and we just want to give you a flavor of what's going on. But I do want to mention that as much as is going on that we can't cover in the 15 or 20 minutes that we're going to spend giving you an update tonight, we are more than happy and welcome to spend as much time with any of you as you would like to spend with us so that we can talk about all the activities that we have going on. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the team. You won't get to see me again, and I think Molly is first up, so I'm going to turn it right over to her. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Molly.
Good evening. Thank you. Okay, so you have the second quarter report in your packet, and you see the highlights of the new business attraction activity on the screen as well. So I won't dig into that too much because that information is a little bit dated now. So I'm going to tell you about some recent happenings and kind of fill you in on what's been going on in my department since the end of the second quarter. So we've talked about a couple of hot projects in these meetings, and one of them being Project Ribeye that was looking at Central Crossing. To give you an update on that, it's not too positive. We're still technically on their short list, but we're on the bottom of their short list. They're really leaning toward a couple of sites in Missouri. So we'll stay in communication with them in case something changes, because sometimes in the site selection process, things pop up that they don't expect, and then the order shifts around. So we'll still stay in communication with that team and be hopeful for that one. Project Spartan is a large one that was going to take the remaining land in Cons of Fire and some internal things within their company. They're growing like crazy, but they are trying to hone in on exactly which project or which product they would slate for that expansion project. So they're really watching their product line and their sales throughout the past few months. And so we're in communication with them frequently as well. And we are still one of their top 2 sites. I think maybe the last time we spoke, we were one of 3. And so we're one of 2 for Project Spartan. But as I said, they're kind of taking their time, and that's not the top of their priority list for their business as a whole right now. So next week, we have a site visit for a company that we don't know who it is, but we know that it's a manufacturing company, and they're looking at Central Crossing. So we'll host them next Friday with some of our partners from the city and county and utilities, and spend some time with them talking about that site and whether it meets their needs, and hopefully find out a little bit more about their timeline and who we're competing against, and some more details about the company. And then, probably an elephant in the room, is the Amazon project. You guys have probably all heard about that headquarters project. And you know the criteria, Topeka and Shawnee County would not meet the criteria, but we've pulled together resources with the Kansas City area, and we are going to submit a regional response to their RFI. And actually tomorrow afternoon, we have a team meeting with the regional partners that are involved in that. And through a gift from Kansas City Power and Light, we have engaged Joel Kotkin and Richard Florida to guide us in this process and they're well-known folks in the economic development, quality of place, and space, and so they'll guide us and give us some intel for what they know about Amazon and what they've seen in other huge projects like this, because I don't know if you guys have seen the details, but it's 50,000 employees, so it's a big one, and but we've heard that the Kansas City area is on their short list, so we'll be as helpful as we can, because if that project were to land in the Kansas City area, obviously we would see great benefit from that as well. And then one last thing I just wanted to touch on is we have a new employee at Topeka named Freddie Malgin, and he is our research manager, and he is actually in training in North Carolina right now. But we hope to have him at a future meeting to kind of dive into some of the metrics that we talk about and the things that we measure across our community as far as demographics and things that are related to the Momentum 2022 plan. And so in the future, expect to see a report from him to talk about the data and how we can dig into that. So.
Any other questions? Questions for Molly? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. I'm going to give you guys a quick update on business retention and expansion. Things have been going very well. So what you'll see up on the screen here in a second, now these are the numbers that were in your packet, and so these are from the end of second quarter, so just keep that in mind that these are as of the end of June. So at the end of June, we had 12 BRE projects, business retention and expansion projects, and I'm excited to say that 3 of those were opened just in the second quarter. Project Madison, Project Arrow, and Project Leaf. So Project Leaf is on the agenda tonight, so we can see that some of the projects move very quickly. Some of them we have to be a little more patient. I'm also excited to tell you that this project number is now outdated. We have 13 projects. As of Monday, I opened another BRE project called Project Smiles, so hopefully that will be moving forward. So again, these numbers that are on the screen are from the end of second quarter. So if we took all of those 12 projects, it would total $214 million capital investment and 889 potential jobs. So fingers crossed that we can get all of those across the line. And as of the end of June, we had 27 on-site visits. As of this week, that number is a little closer to 40. And then we had 54 business interactions, and that number is closer to 70 about now. So one more thing I want to mention is next week we are hosting the Financial Services Summit. This will be the 3rd annual, so it's an event that we've been trying to grow, and we're excited to say that as of yesterday, we have 174 registrations, and so last year we had about 140. So we are increasing that, and we hope to see it grow even bigger next year. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Other questions? Councilwoman Hiller.
Thank you, Mayor. Could you just mention who our draw is? Who are we inviting to the Financial Services Summit?
Sure. So the focus is obviously financial services. So we're looking at a lot of bankers, a lot of people who are in the insurance industry. So we partner with Security Benefit, with the Kansas Department of Insurance, and then the Kansas Department of Commerce. And so we really work a lot on their distribution list, and so reaching out to all of those people that they touch base with a lot. And we're also trying to really, the focus of it is to show how important this industry is to our community and how Topeka is a great place to grow that type of industry. And so we're hopeful to get people from outside of our community as well that will see that this is a great place. If they wanted to start a business in that industry, they would want to come here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. Welcome, Glenda.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. How are you? So I'm really excited about the numbers here you see before you. These are our numbers for the Small Business Incentive. You approved this last year, and it, I think, was one of our best moves ever. It had helped so many people that we knew we needed to bring it back to you again. So I wanted to share these numbers with you, and just as Jackie said, these numbers are really not true numbers because they've increased as well since the end of the quarter. So where you see 34 incentives issued, we've actually issued 51 incentives year-to-date. Year-to-date for the businesses receiving incentives, just 34 businesses. And then we actually look at full and part-time jobs, those ones that have impacted these businesses. And so that's increased as well. 76 full-time jobs and 78 part-time jobs are in that number. And so just wanted to let you know what the pipeline looks like. We have about 25 active people that are looking at these incentives as well. So this has really been a great move. We hear a lot of compliments about this program. We also, the marketing on it is extremely well because it's all done by word of mouth. So we haven't had to pay any money. to market because people are hearing it by word of mouth or presentations, reach out presentations that are due. But we're excited about this program. We have dispersed about $150,342, and we have that pipeline that's so thick that we know that by the end of the year, the $300,000 that you agreed upon is going to be gone. So we look forward to doing this again next year. Moving forward, I wanted to just give you an update on Mid-America Angels. Mid-America continues to grow. We're really excited about this group. Again, we have 23 investors with about 5 businesses that have presented so far. I think in the next 2 weeks, we'll see 2 additional businesses. And the Topeka Angels have actually invested in about $4 million, if I'm correct, Dan. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are able to get some Topeka businesses involved in this. And we're turning every stone to make sure that as the Angels move forward, that we have some of our own represented. And then finally, PTAC. PTAC is our Procurement and Technical Assistance Center. We do have a new person. Her name is Christy Dunn. She's the director for the PTAC area. Christy has done a really good job coming out of the gate, and we're really excited to know that she's actually generated 79 contracts. Now, remember that she is more ours, but we're splitting her with Wichita State, and so she does a region outreach for Wichita State. Her contracts have totaled about 79 contracts with 4.5 million impact. So that impact means they've been awarded a contract through the relationships that we have. And what we do is we go out and we visit with the state, federal agencies and identify opportunities for businesses in our area. So that's what PTAC is. And then I want to introduce you to Barbara.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Now we go to workforce and education.
Thank you. Several different updates with workforce and education. An update related to the Cradle Through Career Partnership. That is one of the areas, or one of the goals that we'll be doing through the strategic plan that you'll hear more about later. But as an update to that, through the ACCE, the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives Educational Attainment Fellowship that I'm participating in over the course of the next 9 months, there's a regional action plan component to that. And so that regional action plan, I will design that around the Cradle Through Career Partnership. That's what I will use that plan to do. In regard to diversity and inclusion, we had actually another meeting this morning with Included. We have at any given time at least 20 employers that are representative in those organizations. Sometimes people can come, sometimes they can't, but we move forward every time. Several of the key things that we're looking at right now include developing community resource groups beyond the employer resource groups that an individual employer can use. We're looking at a community-wide mixture of resource groups, and so that's in development, as well as supplier diversity, as well as some reverse mentorship. So in the early stages, but in those discussions, that's some of the things that we're working on with diversity and inclusion. In regard to the East Topeka Learning Center, you'll hear about that later, so not to gloss over it, but no reason to dive into it at this moment. In regard to the future talent pipeline, we're working on a lot of those things occur in the fall with manufacturers in the classroom that most of you, I think, are familiar with in the past, so we'll have numbers on that later, as well as the Bring Your A Game to Work that we've talked about previously. That's that workplace skills training and initiative that way. And in relationship to Work Ready Community, which is something that we're moving forward, some of those things may transition a little bit, partly because of ESSA. If you're not familiar with ESSA, that's the Every Student Succeeds Act, and every state in the country has to have their ESSA plan submitted to the Department of Education by the end of this month. So we're wanting to make sure that we align with what our state plan says, so that we're providing the same services that the state is requiring statewide at the local level and for Topeka and Shawnee County students. So there may be some shifting a little bit. It may not be tied just specifically to work keys. It might be other pre-pathway assessments and that sort of thing. So as that comes up, I will let you know more.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Barbara? Thank you.
And I also I wanted to let you know, because we transitioned both with Forge as well as Go Topeka, we work on Top City interns together. So I'm going to have Gabriel O'Shea give you an update briefly on that.
Very good. Thank you. Welcome, Gabe.
Good evening, JEDO members. The purpose of Top City Interns is to showcase all of Topeka's assets to the interns with the goal of retaining them to the greater Topeka area as young professionals and young talents in the area. The numbers this year, we had 189 interns. They came from 49 different universities throughout the United States. They represented 27 different companies throughout the greater Topeka area. They had 23 different states for their hometowns, including the District of Columbia, plus 6 different countries. So this wasn't just a local internship program, this was a national, global, that we showed a lot of them. This is the first time seeing Topeka, and our whole goal is showing the quality of life, quality of place, and why Topeka is a great place to live, work, and play. After this year, we had 70% of the interns either have already accepted full-time jobs, are interested in accepting full-time jobs, or are considering Topeka. So the initial results looks good. We're going to be tracking them. We're going to be tracking how many offers are out to the interns and how many are we retaining. And this is our first year, so this is going to be our baseline, so we can try to build off of this. Some other things we're doing this fall, I'm going around college campuses promoting Topeka and also promoting the Top City Interns program, showcase why Topeka is a great place to be. So with that, I'll open up to any questions.
Are there questions for Gabe? Seeing none, thank you. Thank you very much. Next is 712 Innovations.
Hi, Zach Sneeden, 712 Innovations, Chair of the Management Committee. Just a quick update on what 712 is up to. Your slide that you have up there is kind of the by the numbers look. We continue to maintain about 125 average members. Within that, there's 31 businesses that are either businesses within 712 or businesses that utilize the resources of 712. And then as a regular monthly programming, we have the 1 Million Cups program that is hosted over 17 presenters, and through that, people attending over 250 people attending those events. So what do those numbers look like? I wanted to just take a step back and show you the 4 little short case studies of things that are happening at 712 over the last 3 months. And I really frame it in the context of the Momentum 2022 and the kind of 4 of the 5 pillars that program is shaped around. So just on the screen, the third Thursday of every month, there's an audio workshop that's held in the back audio lab at 712 that the most recent one brought music producers from Salina and Kansas City to this, about 20 to 25 people. Ages really, my son was there with from 7 years old to probably 40 or so. So just it's that kind of that cultivating that talent, but then also there's the quality of life aspect that's associated with it, and that's something that's happening at 712. Project that you're very familiar with happening downtown, the Cyrus Hotel is going up live, but within the resources that are available at 712, Architect One and their team was able to build a scale model of that project to use for promotion and publicity about the project. And and then nextly, Nick Zaitis of Hazel Hill, they're members of 712. It's growing a diverse economy. They made a winnower, and I had to kind of look that up, but it's something that uses that's in the processing of the cacao beans, and just so it's as much about what we're doing about growing new businesses as it is about providing the resources and kind of innovation for our existing businesses. And so that was something that they were able to build at 712 and put into production or into what they do at Hazel Hill. And then lastly, just on the aspect of promoting a positive image, another project that you guys are familiar with, that happened out of collaboration within 712 from Brian Falk Architects and another member, Jason Adams, came together among several other businesses in town to conceive the idea to light the water tower, develop the programming, find the partners for the lighting, and really develop that as literally a beacon in downtown every night. So just I wanted to kind of show you those. The numbers are one thing, but the pictures and the stories of what's happening really tell the story and of what 712 is and the value of 712 in the community. As the management committee, we're also working towards and really framed in one of the objectives of Momentum 2022 is really beefing up 712 and making it the hub, really a hub of kind of the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the community. And so as we move forward as a management committee, looking at what that looks like as the future of 712. And so that's kind of where, from a management standpoint, where we're at.
Very good,
So.
very good. Questions for Zach? Thank you, thank you. Glenda and Dan, and you're going to have to
Yes.
introduce, because
Yes,
this
I
is a new topic for us.
Yeah, this is a very new topic, and we're extremely excited about it. We have and I'm not going to steal his thunder, we have two co-chairs, Dan Folks and Dwayne Cantrell, that's leading this effort, and then there's a whole number of other smart people around the table that are helping him out. But I wanted to kind of introduce Dan. He's our co-chair, and he's going to kind of tell you about a new initiative that we have going on. So Dan, you're welcome.
Thank you. And they were calling this the BAAFTech Taskforce, the BAAFTech, Bioscience, Agriculture, Animal Science, Financial Sciences, Technology. So, but basically, given the ever-expanding animal health corridor, the development and expansion at K-State University's North Campus, next to NBAF, and also along with the development of the University of Kansas's West Campus, there's obviously a gap around the Topeka area in the expansion and growth of the corridor from Kansas City to Manhattan. A group of business community leaders, along with Go Topeka, Topeka Chamber, have begun the process of determining how Topeka can and should participate in the continued and future growth of the animal health corridor, along with emerging opportunities, of course, in ag tech or financial tech and translational health in the region. To that end, the task force has been formed in April. We visited, task force members have visited many communities around the region to get best practices, lessons learned. Places like St. Louis, Omaha, Wichita, Norman, Oklahoma, Springfield, Missouri, Lawrence, KC, Columbia, Missouri, Lincoln, just to name a few. We have also hired a consulting firm to help us do a feasibility study and develop a plan that can determine exactly how we can capture the best opportunities and focus in our resources. So these will include identifying those key areas of opportunity, but also resources that are required. So the financial resources that are required, the participants of the local, city, county, and private sector involvement. So, and then of course there'll be a feasibility study around location options for various pieces of how we can maximize this. While the precise nature of the opportunities and the focus are still to be determined, ag tech, biosciences, et cetera, it seems abundantly clear that the biosciences should and will be a major area of focus. So in conjunction with the efforts of our task force and the Entrepreneurial Task Force, which has been created in the local area, has been formed and has begun to map the local resources available for startup efforts. Additionally, as Glenda mentioned, Mid-America Angels has started a local effort in Topeka for financing capital, and also a small seed fund has been established to begin to lay the foundation for necessary early capital critical to attracting and retaining entrepreneurial efforts. While still in the early stages of exploration and determination, there's a great deal of energy around this initiative, and we are fortunate to have a very good group of minds around the table as we explore this. So, thank you.
Thank you. That's sort of new, exciting, and thank you for your leadership and the committee and organization getting it underway. Are there questions? Anything that we need more of? Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Next, we have an update from Kayla on Momentum 2022.
Perfect, thank you. I'm Kayla Bittler, and I'm the Strategic Coordinator for Momentum 2022. I've met most of you in other settings, but I've never had the opportunity to present to JEDO before, so I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to provide you an update on Momentum 2022. So within Momentum 2022, we have 7 work groups, 1 council, and 1 task force. So the 7 work groups, which are downtown and NODO, marketing, entrepreneurship, economic development, community engagement, quality of place, and talent development, they have all held their first meetings. They all met in the month of August, and the meetings are going very well. We're still, here in 2017, we're still in the pre-implementation phase, if you will. So the meetings are very educational in nature right now. For instance, the downtown and NODO work group, for their next meeting, they're actually going to NODO, and they're going to hear the master plan and get a tour of NODO, because they realize that it's really important to find out what you don't know, right? So another focus area of the work groups for their first meetings is the conversations of starting to build an inventory, because it's really important to figure out what initiatives are ongoing so that we're not recreating the wheel. Also, along the same note, we had our implementation committee meeting yesterday. So the implementation committee sort of oversees the work groups and makes sure that they stay on track. The implementation committee went very well. The meeting went very well. I think it was eye-opening for some individuals. I think we started to realize, even more so than we already did, how big the scope is and how hard the work is going to be. But all of those meetings are progressing, and they're doing very well. The East Topeka Council is in with this work group list because operationally I kind of treat it the same way. The East Topeka Council is composed of stakeholders from East Topeka, as well as the vice chair from each of the work group. And I tell you that so that you see that the East Topeka Council, when they meet, they have really good information as far as exactly what is going on in each one of those work groups by having that vice chair present to kind of present and tell them what's going on. Also, I'll note the East Topeka Council has been a point of interest for a lot of our community members. I have gotten so many phone calls, and it's really been kind of touching. So many phone calls and emails of, you know, hey, I really care about this community, and I care about East Topeka, and I want to be a part of this. So that council is sort of ever growing, but that's a great thing, and I look forward to those meetings. We actually have the first one next week, so that's great. Also, the Metrics Task Force. So we have formed the Metrics Task Force, which has also met once. It is the job of the Metrics Task Force to really develop those core metrics that we're going to track and keep ourselves accountable to. Market Street, as our consultant, provided a list of probably 50 or so metrics that we could use, and we will track those. But we also recognize that we need to have that core focus set of what do we think we can really move that needle on, and what are we going to hold ourselves accountable to. So it's the job of that task force to iron those out, so you'll be hearing more about that in the future. All right, and the Greater Topeka Partnership. So one of the objectives within Momentum 2022, and that's actually not even entirely true. The precursor for all of the objectives within Momentum 2022 is that we establish the Greater Topeka Partnership. So the Greater Topeka Partnership is essentially an increase in the level of collaboration between Go Topeka, Visit Topeka, Downtown Topeka, and the Chamber of Commerce. All of those 4 boards have voted to move this forward. And I'm personally really excited to see this happen because I believe that this is going to really help us implement a lot of the strategies within Momentum 2022. And in fact, in Market Street in their report, they noted that there is not a single entity in Topeka that is prepared to take on this plan alone, that it is going to take this increased level of collaboration to make all of these things happen. So we're doing that, and we're moving that forward as well. And with that, I'll open it up to any
Are there questions?
anybody may have.
Questions on Momentum 2022 for Kayla? Seeing none? Oh, Councilwoman.
I have a comment.
Kayla.
Sure. And I was in a meeting that is not on your list of 7 last week, and it had to do with developing heritage tourism in Topeka. And there's quite a collaboration that includes historic sites in Topeka and the interpretive, and as well as the places, as well as the greater Kansas City area. It's part of Freedom's Frontier. Well, out of that, as they were working with a consultant to figure out how to best brand that movement and for all those folks to work together, it ended up feathering into talking about Momentum 2022. in a variety of ways. And the fact that however it emerged, that we have this Momentum 2022 plan and this spirit of collaboration, and further, only 5-year goals and metrics to measure, really help set a framework for something that's happening a step away to say this is a really good way to do business. So I wanted to share that with you, with all of you really, the spin-offs happening already.
Very good.
Perfect, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
And next, we move to the financial area and have the Finance Committee. And as you know, this year, it would be Nikki Lee making this report, but she could not be here. She's out of town, and so Betty of the county stepped in graciously to perform that role. Thank you.
Well, I am Betty Greiner, and I am the secretary this year for the JEDO Finance Committee. So I am here to present the cash statement as of June 30. And I will hit the highlights of this. I believe you each have that in your packet. To start with the receipts, from January 1 through June 30, we had received combined sales tax receipts of $9,188,135. That includes receipts from the old sales tax, which terminated at the end of 16, as well as receipts from the new. There is a 2-month lag from the time the sale occurs, the month the sale occurs, till the time that we receive those. So that's why there are receipts from both of those sales tax programs. From those receipts, then we have the disbursements. First, the amount goes to Topeka, so $2.5 million has been paid to Topeka. Then we have disbursements to the city and the county. And as you know, with the sales tax that began on January 1 of 2017, after the Topeka expenses are paid, then the rest of the money is distributed to the city and the county based on the percentages that are in the interlocal agreement. So those totaled through June 30, those distributions totaled $2,668,996. So for this period of time, we had net receipts of $4,023,018, leaving us with a cash balance at the end of June of $19,996,355.28. This balance is so large because in July was when we were able to pay the final payment for the last project that we had for the old sales tax. And then in July also was when we paid out the excess monies to both the city and the county. So that will be in the next quarter report where we show you that money.
All right.
paid.
That all happened in July. That was good news.
Yes.
That we appreciate.
Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for Betty? Seeing none?
Okay.
We also have the audits here, but that's just the financial statements that are there for our perusal. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations. We made it through all the presentations. Our plan was to do this by approximately 6:30, and we gained that, so it's sort of, we moved rapidly, and now we'll slow down and go into some action items and take our time on those. I do want to mention that Councilwoman Del Isla had another engagement tonight, and as a voting member has sent written note that Councilwoman Hiller would be her proxy in voting for her in her stead this evening. So we go to item 4A, action item on the minutes.
4 is approval of July 26, 2017 JEDO Board meeting minutes.
Board members, you have those minutes before you. Are there any corrections or your suggestion?
I'll move to approve.
Deputy Mayor Cohen moves approval. Commissioner Cook seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor, the voting members, raise your right hand.
We have 8.
7 having voted.
Thank you.
7 having voted yes. It is, the minutes are approved. We go to item 5, action item on the East Topeka Learning Center.
Thank you, members. I just wanted to briefly give you an update of the overall East Topeka Learning Center project. Let you know that the zoning I had mentioned previously was approved by the City Council. The new markets tax credits that we've talked about previously are out for bid right now in terms of finding a community development entity to allocate funds. And so we're looking for that right now. We have that application out. And then in terms of the design process update, we've had a couple different design tours that we've conducted throughout Kansas, as well as we took a day trip up to Wisconsin to look at those technical centers and get a feel for what is offered in technical education and the flexibility that we're looking for an adult education center. I did provide to you, and I will not read through it, but you have a large version of the design visioning workshop that was conducted last Friday morning. It will be in your packet. I provided it to Jennifer, but it hadn't happened yet. We got you the packet information last week. Gives you kind of an overview of everything that's gone on so far and where we're looking at that way. And with that, I would like to introduce Glenda Du Bois, who is our East Topeka Learning Center Task Force Chair, and she will present an update for the task force and specifically the market study report. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Glenda.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to just share with you an update in reference to the East Topeka Learning Center and the market study that was requested and has been done via a request for a proposal process. The selection committee has convened and issued that RFP on July the 5th. The selection committee was formed, and the selection committee evaluated the proposals that we had. We conducted references, conducted interviews, making selections, and that was by August the 15th. Now, the selection committee recommends, as a result of that, the Ketchum Global Analytics and Company. And we recommend that particular company because we believe that their goal proposal that they have offered really meets the needs of the project, and it really involves the community at the point that we would need to that would involve the community best and provide the best analysis. They're well prepared to work in Topeka and in Shawnee County, and they will also provide the qualitative research, as I said, of residents and also the key stakeholders, providing the level of detail that we wouldn't have been able to get had we just had a secondary type of an analysis. So also then the task force further recommends that the funding for this market study be allocated over the funding 3 different funding sources, and that 1/3 each would be allocated, and that would be from Washburn University, the East Topeka Learning Center Project Contingency and Education and Budgeted Funds, and also from the EMBD funds. So those are the 2 recommendations that we have: the approval of the Ketchum Global Analytics company as the company who will conduct the market research study, and then also that the funding would be approved. Any questions?
And I believe it's been suggested that we consider item B first. We have 2 action items under that, A and B. But B is the approval of the selection committee's recommendation for engagement that you described.
Yes.
And that is the Ketchum firm.
Ketchum Global. Yes.
It's a recommendation that for our approval, that selection committee's recommendation.
That's correct.
Is there any other, is there discussion on that? You understand what we're doing here? We're together on that? Okay, your pleasure.
I'll move that we accept the committee's recommendation.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Emerson seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
We have 7.
7 having voted yes, the selection committee, the recommendation is approved. And now the item A, we take second, is a request for use of carryover Entrepreneurial minority. And Glenda, you want to just explain a little bit what we're doing here?
So what we're doing is we're requesting that you use $38,000, we'll be the third, one of the thirds, $38,000 to support the proposal. We know that we can use this information in a lot of different areas. This is our community that we one of our targeted communities, and we want to make sure that we play a role in making that transition, helping them look at some of those things, like the gaps in the neighborhood, the needs in the neighborhood. And I think that the data that the resulting data would support what we need. Even if we go back to Momentum 2022, even on that East Topeka Council that we are working on, we can definitely use that data. So we think that this is a good use of our money, and so we're requesting that we can use $38,000 of the carryover to support this.
So this is your carryover from,
Yes.
that you have on hand?
Yes.
Yes. Councilman Emerson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Glenda, just to verify, a third of it. Now, I understand that we've added some for the travel, right? Because travel was not included in their proposal pricing. So is that what the difference is between a third of their proposal and what we're being asked for?
Yes, the difference is $7,000, not to exceed $7,000 for travel.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? All right. Is your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval.
Councilman Emerson moves approval.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Cohen seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay.
7.
7 having voted yes, the action is taken. And we had 2 people signed to speak on this. Pastor Clark.
He is not.
He is not here. Wendy Wells.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ortiz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is great. It's in my district. It's long and overdue, so I'd like to say thank you to all the board members. I would like, Mr. Bose, if you would elaborate on the cookout on September 30th, because
Good.
this is something that's much needed, and we do want to advertise that.
This was an outcome of our visioning workshop that we had last Friday, where we brought in the different NIA presidents. And so it was a suggestion that on September 30th, and we will go forward with that, we will have a cookout at the facility on the grounds from 12 o'clock to 3 p.m. And Washburn Tech and Washburn and the Go Topeka will all be working together along with the NIAs. There'll be lots of fun, lots of good food, so we hope that everyone will come out and just enjoy that.
Very good. Thank you.
And lots of information.
And lots of information, absolutely. Lots of information.
Communication.
And yes, and that will be followed up with open house and other meetings going forward.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you very much.
Councilwoman Hiller.
Yes.
Perhaps this question is best addressed to you. I've had a question from people a person who's involved in the workforce development sector, asking what the input plan was for the marketing program and/or the development of the curriculum. Because this particular person works with a lot of entry-level folks and wanted to make sure that there was a way for her voice to be hers and others like her. And so I would think that you're talking about people who, for instance, work at the YWCA or at NetReach, at the Rescue Mission, with veterans and so on. So that right from the get-go, they could be talking about what kinds of training and opportunities their folks were looking for. Is there a structure besides inviting them to the picnic?
Well, no, within the markets research study, we will gain that additional information. The program that we have that we're going in with, the classes or programs that will be offered, but this will also give us the opportunity to get that additional feedback that can bring forth those other kinds of programs as we go forward.
Okay.
I think the question was just whether that sector of folks would be invited.
Yes, they.
Great. Thank you.
Hopefully, the marketing process should be reaching out to all of those.
Yes, the marketing process will reach everyone within the area.
Super.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to action item 6. And thank you, our good friends from Washburn Tech and Washburn University.
Okay. Well, you gave you a little
Oh, and
tease.
was it read?
No.
If we would read the item.
6 is approval of funding in the amount of $225,000 for Project LEAF.
Okay, start.
Thank you. Welcome.
I was so excited.
Welcome.
So I gave you a little teaser in my report that we opened this project in second quarter and it is moving very quickly. So Project LEAF is an existing Topeka company. They are looking at investing $2.4 million in capital investment, and that equates to $1.6 million for the acquisition and a rehabilitation of a downtown Topeka business or Topeka building, and then they're going to invest about $800,000 in equipment. This company is looking at adding 45 jobs over the next 5 years, and what's amazing about that is they currently have 17 full-time employees, so they're looking at a really big jump. And these will be paying an average of $52,000, so we're looking at some very professional, kind of creative, artsy type jobs that these professionals are going to be coming to our downtown. So what the proposed incentives are is a maximum incentive of $225,000. And those incentives are just for those 45 jobs that are anticipated to be created over the 5 years. There's not any capital investment or any incentives for the capital investment. This does follow the Go Topeka guidelines, and they are performance-based. So they would not receive any of those incentives until those jobs are created. And not only do they not receive those incentives until those jobs are created, but they receive them in payments over 5 years. So they don't just get the lump sum up front. So they need to maintain those jobs. We ran the numbers on this, and according to our calculations, if those 45 jobs at an average wage of $52,000 remain in our community each year, it will equate to a $16 million annual reoccurring economic impact to our community. So the really thrilling part of this is the company is here tonight, and they are ready to announce who they are. So it is the Premier Advisory Group, and that name may not ring a bell to a lot of people, but that's the umbrella company for Action Coach Business Coaching, Bajillion Agency, and Motivike Films. So Andrea Ingstrom is here tonight, and she would be happy to answer any questions and have any comments. And if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer those as well.
Are there questions for Jackie about any of their incentive proposal? Okay, thank you. And I think we would enjoy the opportunity of Andrea coming forward, and it's a great, exciting plan. Excited for you. You want to add some of your views and perspective for us?
Yeah. Hi, friends. We're really
We've met.
Yeah, we've met. We're really excited for the growth that our companies have been experiencing. Over the last 14 months, we've added 14 jobs. And so our track record is pretty good over the last year. Part of our business is coaching businesses to grow. And so our momentum that we're creating is really doing what we teach other businesses to do. And it's working. Just like it works for our clients, it's working for us. And it's been really exciting because we are a family business, and our story is similar to many companies that are developing in our community. My husband Josiah runs Motivike Films, and I run the ad agency, and my dad runs Action Coach Business Coaching. Josiah and I's moms went to Topeka High School together and graduated the same year. And Josiah and I live downtown, and we're so excited to be moving our companies downtown. It's been a few years coming, and when we started growing our companies and started adding team members, everybody's been asking us, when are you moving downtown? And so we're really excited to say that it's time, and we're going to be adding a lot of jobs in the community, and find Topeka a great place to grow our company and attract creative talent and really quality professionals.
Thank you.
Thank you for your consideration.
Any questions for Andrea? Thank you. We have a proposal before us. Your consideration.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Archer moves to approve, and Commissioner Bueller seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
We have 7 yes.
7 having voted yes, the item is approved. We have a person signed to speak, Wendy Wells.
I'm trying to contain my excitement, and so I couldn't help but ask to speak and just want to say as chair of Go Topeka how excited I am that we're supporting a smallish business that's growing, that has exactly the type of talent that we keep saying we want, young, creative talent. And oh, by the way, it's a bonus that they're going to be downtown and growing an important sector. And I know you guys know all of that, but it gives all of the Go Topeka board a lot of pride that we are using some of these economic dollars to support this type business. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And board, we did something last year when we had the announcement for the firm that right now I'm blanking on the name.
SC2 or Fudamara, I can't remember.
Fudamara, that we stopped for a minute and had a picture taken of the board with the new company. And we would like to do that. We've been asked to do that tonight. So we'll take just a 5-minute break. And I think what it means is all of us go right down here. We take a picture, have a picture taken. So we do that before we handle the budget.
Yep.
Kind of a little celebration.
Mayor.
Yeah, Councilwoman Hiller.
Well, I want to make a celebratory comment too. Similar to Wendy, it's hard to contain myself in a couple of different ways. One, as people, for those who are unfamiliar, I represent District 1, which is downtown, where all the cool people live and everybody else just wishes they did. And it is wonderful to have both the residents and the businesses downtown, especially to have Andrea and Josiah and their family. But for those who don't know the background, I mean, a lot of what's driving all of what we're doing is that we want to attract and keep our young professionals in Topeka. And for those who go back to when the Google project was envisioned, Andrea was there with Think Big Topeka and helping us all envision and feel confident that we could get our heads up and really take Topeka someplace. She did live in District 1 at that time, or shortly after that, moved out to the burbs and moved back. And similarly, as the business moved here from Denver, really, to get it started, a family business, and went out to Southwest Topeka and is now coming downtown. I just think the dynamic of Andrea and Josiah and their family, as well as the business, are exactly what we've been hoping for. And I just appreciate your leadership all the way along. It's just great. Thank you.
And also Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Is the district. You're also in his district.
And we're very happy to have downtown, growing downtown.
That's great. Great. Thank you. Okay, go to item 7. The clerk would read.
7 is discussion on the 2018 Go Topeka draft budget.
And Jackie. I have Jackie written here for some reason, but it's Molly.
Yep. Okay, so this is new for us to be showing you a draft of the budget at the September JEDO meeting. So bear with me, and I'll touch on some significant changes that we have proposed, but just remember this is a rough draft, and there's some things that, since this was printed, we've even gone back and met as a group and thought about some changes that we wanted to possibly consider for the future. So as I walk through this budget, remember that, and also remember that this is the public budget. So it does include some of the items that are within the Momentum 2022 strategy that would fall under the regular scope of Go Topeka, but it's not going to account for all of the things in the Momentum 2022 strategy. There's a separate private fundraising effort to support those other items. And let's get to it. Okay, so I'm just going to walk through from top to bottom. I won't go into a ton of detail, and then we can discuss at the end. And I'm also going to send out a formal request or invite to all of you to meet with us one-on-one between now and our next version of this budget to talk about your suggestions and for us to gather your feedback as we come to that second draft and then propose a budget to you in December. So the first item is salaries and personnel towards the top there. You'll notice an uptick in those numbers. We have the same number of FTEs as 2017, but we budgeted for a 12% increase in healthcare expenses, just with insurance and things. And then pretty much business as usual for the first few departments under the departmental activities. But then you'll notice entrepreneur and minority business development. There's a heavy focus on entrepreneurship in the Momentum 2022 plan. And this number, you look to see it change positively the next time we bring it to you. It's still being refined, and we're looking at where to shift those dollars, what really needs to be an EMBD, and what's considered just entrepreneurial support. So Glenda's working to refine those numbers. So we work down, you'll see a lot of these numbers are business as usual. That whole next section that is the operating expenditures with utilities and rent and things like that. Not much change planned there. We're pretty on target. Andrea in our office has refined those numbers pretty darn close and impressed Meishauser in some meetings with how close we were on our projections there. So that number is very similar from 17 to 18. And then we get to Heartland Visioning, and that's one of the things that's in this budget at $75,000, and that's something that we've done in the past, you all know. And as we got to talking as a group, we thought maybe it's more appropriate to shift the funding for Heartland Visioning into that private budget, and the possible consideration of funding something else that has a need in this community. And the topic that's been brought to consideration has been funding for the riverfront, to create a public-private partnership for the funding source for that project. And then we move down to
So that's something that you're considering and looking at, and then by the time we get more of a final, closer to the final draft, you'll be working that through.
Yeah.
Is that how you'd say it?
Sure. I think that that's something that would be a topic of conversation with you all as we have those one-on-one discussions to see what your feelings and thoughts are about that. And then we'll gather that feedback and come back to you all with a proposal for December. And then the next section down there is where a lot of the money is in the budget, and that's the incentive, site expenditures, and other. The top line there, current commitments, is the incentives that are planned to be paid out for those companies that we've awarded incentive dollars to. And there's a big difference here. It's about $1 million from 2017 to 2018. 2017, there were some timing issues. If you'll remember, a lot of those incentives were planned to be paid out at the end of 16 and then got pushed and rolled over to 17. So 17 is really an inflated number, and 18 is probably more of a regular and normal number. So that's $1 million of the difference of our budget from 17 to 18. And then new workforce incentives, you'll see the footnote down there that explains what those dollars are, and that's just the broadband initiative, which was approved, and some of those dollars have been expended in 2017, and some will then be planned in 2018 just by the timing of that project. So there's $110,000 for broadband there, and then the East Topeka Learning Center also. So remember, East Topeka Learning Center is approved to be spent from carry forward dollars. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Also, the small business incentives remain at $300,000 down there. And then 49th Street improvements as well. We talked last meeting about the shift in timing of that project to the 2018 construction season. So the bulk of those dollars has been shifted over to 2018. But again, that's another item that was approved to be spent from the carry forward dollars. Okay, and so I just wanted to show you a little math problem to kind of wrap your head around where we are. So $8.8 million is the proposed total spending for 2018. But remember, out of that, over half of that is approved from carry forward dollars with East Topeka Learning Center and 49th Street. So then we come to about $4 million, and that's the proposed spending that's not included in items approved from carry forward. So that's where we are compared to the $5 million that we received. And then the projected carry forward, that's always kind of a moving target because we need to see when those incentive dollars are going to be paid out and when they're earned. But right now, we're told by our accountants that the carry forward is expected to be about what it was last year. We'll bring you much more of a breakdown with more details in December to show exactly how those dollars have flushed out. But that really is, in a nutshell, just the highlights of significant changes that we have proposed. And I think this is a discussion item, so I'll stand off to the side or stand here for questions, whichever.
All right. Well, thank you, and I think I admire your courage to putting together a budget this early. That's what we do. 8 months ahead of the year, but 4 months ahead of the year. And you know, as you said, it'll be moving and changing. So are there questions we want to have at this time or discussion or any points? We're going to hear more. Councilman Hiller?
Just one, and I've had that discussion, I guess, with Matt early on, is that with the new collaborative, help me.
Partnership.
The partnership.
With the partnership, so that there is an expectation that it's not a merger, but the partnership, that there will be perhaps even the whole marketing team shared amongst the various entities and shared space. I think it will be good by the time it's wrapped up to at least, colleagues, you can speak up, but at least to have a simple picture of how those 4 to 5 entities, however it ends up being defined, mesh. And what we've been through, most of us that serve here, some years where people had questions about shared usage and shared space and money back and forth, and just kind of how you're planning to structure that and how it will look so that it is transparent and people know.
I think that's a good question. And I think, we're kind of developing visuals to better explain that. And I think that it would be appropriate for us to share that at a future meeting. I don't know if Matt wants to chime in.
The one thing that I think is really critical is that in the sharing, I did get to talk again, yay! But in the sharing of services and the economies of scale, the one thing that has a hard line fence around it is there are no public dollars that are commingled whatsoever. So if you're on the TGT committee, or if you're on the JEDO board, or if you're on the bid board, there is not one penny of public dollars that are ever commingled. Where we will, and so I think that's really important. And one of the things that we will likely be doing is hiring a CFO or a CPA that's been recommended to us by Meishauser to make sure that we're really, there are a lot of public and private dollars that we're saying grace over and investing on behalf of our community. So, but that is one thing that we're building a strong fence around that, and it's very important.
Okay, good. Good comment. Other questions or discussion?
Okay.
Seeing none, we look forward to the next round and getting more information. That completes the items. Down to the next is public comment, and first we have Carol Markle. All right, and I have Wendy Wells.
I passed, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That completes our agenda. There being no further business before the body, we are adjourned.
Hey, I got a call from, actually, an email from
We plan.